So this is the rounding up session. Before we were timed out, we discussed about the difference between leadership and management. Now let's look at some management hierarchy, and then from there we'll look at some leadership threats and the method of leaderships, what we call leadership styles. Now, when it comes to management, we usually have 3 levels. We have the top level management, the middle level management, and the supervisory level. The top level management, at that level, that is the level where we see the CEO, which is an acronym for Chief Executive Officers, Chief Financial Officers, Executive Vice President. That is the level where you see these categories of people. So we call them the highest level of management. So at this level, the job at this level is not really easy because many CEOs at this level got fired for poor performance. So some students especially make assumption that at that level, life is easy because you are at the top. No, they have a lot to do. For example, most of the time they spend it developing long-range plans for the organization. And also they make decisions that with respect to introducing new products or buying up a new company or entering a new market, maybe in a new, totally new, start to produce a new brand of products or entering a new country where we have a totally different market space. Basically, they set the direction and inspire the company executives and employees to achieve those visions for the company's future. So now, whatever decision they make affect the company, especially the economic down when there's economic downturn, or when there's a slump in sales or quality crisis. Like sometimes you see the top management make a decision to, due to the fact, I'm sure you guys are aware of the hype in the hybrid car markets. And then when the top management make a decision to start producing hybrid cars, sometimes they might have to recall some of those cars due to certain problems. And that can cause them to lose market share. So at the end of the day, the decision they make affect the company. And if the effect lead to loss in revenue over some years, they might be fired or maybe forced to leave the company. I have already given you example of that with Marissa Mayer of Yahoo. Let me give you more examples of leaders or CEOs who have been fired due to poor performance. So you can see that level of management is actually a hot seat because at that time you take decision and you become responsible for those decisions that you took. I can come and hunt you. You know, I'm gonna open it so you can see. Hope this website is still okay. Fired CEOs that went to start. Okay, so them are fired and then they want to start their own companies. I will have this one, Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey. Let's see his story. He says the co-founder of Twitter was pushed out in 2008. At that time, Twitter wasn't so popular. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Twitter started making more money when the former President Trump started using it as a president. It became very, it was popular, don't get me wrong, but when they started making money, really, because they were really struggling at a point they had two different, one person assigned as CEO of Twitter and one other company. Anyway, this guy was pushed out. Says many flattering description of that still float around today about his earlier behavior make it easy to understand how his team decided it's time for him to go. Now he started another company, Square, which today we know owns the Cash App. And this is another one. What's his name? You have this person. What's her name? I have two of them actually. The second one is H. Brendan H. Was forced out of Mozilla in 2014. You know about Mozilla Firefox, we used to as a search engine, because of his stance in gay marriage or because of long-standing management issues. I'm not worried about the one that have to do with gay marriage. What I'm talking about, I'm more interested is the one that have to do with management issues. So when they talk about management issues, of course, naturally, it have to do with how it affects revenue or sales from the company. Now, so these are a few examples of them. Now, at that level. And the second level of management we're looking at is the middle management and the supervisory management. Let's look at middle management first, and then look at supervisory management after that. So the middle management is the second tier. And then the kind of people we consider to be in the middle management are the general managers, plant managers, sales managers, division managers, and branch managers. Mainly they focus on operations, products, and customer groups. So, and they also participate in developing plans for implementing the company's strategic plans which are made by the top level, are made strategic plans. Now, for example, if top management made a plan that they want to broaden the distribution of products, then the sales manager would now be responsible for determining the number of sales personnel required. So now the top management say, or the CEO say, okay, want to distribute more of our products, make sure that it's available in every home across the country. Now, that's the decision of the top management. Now, the middle manager will say, okay, how many sales people do we need to make sure that this comes to pass? Okay. So that means they are involved in budgeting for product development. They are involved in identifying new uses of the products. They are involved in improving training and motivation. So, so as a result of this, they are more familiar with the day-to-day operation of the company. Even though in some cases, even more than the CEO. CEO will just make that decision, direction, where this is where we want to go, and then middle management will pick up from there, and do some of these necessary things that I just mentioned. So as a result, they can easily come up with new ways to increase sales or solve the company's problems. Any question before I continue? Any question?
No.
All right. Oh. Now look at supervisory management. We know about, we all, at your workplace, you have supervisors. So that can give you an idea what supervisory management is. So things like supervisor, senior section chief, team leader, they all have to do with supervisory management. So they do what they some of the non-managerial some specific job of a division. There is somebody that has to be the lead that will supervise the work done and evaluate performance. So they help the employees to produce and sell whatever the firm is producing or whatever services they are delivering. So all the plan that the middle managers develop, the supervisory managers help to implement those plans. Now, this can lead us to leadership threats. We have, at the beginning of this class, we were talking about leaders, the vision, and so on and so forth. What are those threats that are common to good leaders? Now, so these threats include, one of them is effective communication. The other one is accountable and responsible, long-term thinkers, self-motivated, confident, people-oriented, emotional stability. So this leads us to, let's look at this in a threat one by one. Remember, these are the threats that these threats are already in us, in every person, but you have to develop it through practice over time. So like other skills, they can be acquired with time and practice. So now let's start with the first one, effective communicators. Well, and in this day and age, you have to be a good communicator. You have to be a good leader. So, and good leaders have a way, they are excellent communicators as a matter of fact. They know how to talk and when to listen. They're good listeners. So they are able to clearly and concisely explain problems and solutions either through one-on-one interaction or via the phone or emails and so on and so forth. The second one is the accountable and responsible. As you can remember from that video, last video I played to you, responsibility. Leaders take responsible for if there's any mistakes. So they encourage people to follow the rules of the organization, the rules, the policies that need to follow. But if there is any mistakes, that the company the company is guilty of, the leaders take responsibility. And so because of that, they have to make sure that they do the right job with respect to motivating the employees to abide by the organizational structure, rules, policies, and so on and so forth. Now, the third threat is long-term thinkers. I think I mentioned it already. If you have a business and you don't think 10 years ahead, what will happen 10 years ahead, that means you don't have a business. Now look at what happened since December of 2019 to now. If you good leaders or captains of industry, we know that this kind of thing happens. Sometimes this kind of thing happens every 10 years. It may not be a health-related disruption. It might be maybe the markets, or maybe the kind of a recession, economic recession. All these things can cause sales to plummet. As a leader, you have to think of those things, plan ahead of time if this kind of thing happens. So you have to be a long-term thinker. And also, whatever product you are selling or you're making, how relevant will that product be 10 years from now? Does that product need to be improved? Because as you're selling that product and making money, other people in the industry are watching you. And they want a piece of the action because they want to make money from it. So they can even build the same product that they can market at a cheaper price. They can make a small improvement on it, then sell it at they have to figure out a way. They will figure out a way to make it and then sell it at a lower price than you. It's possible. It happens all the time. I'm giving you an example with BlackBerry. Let me give you another example. I don't know how many of you know about MySpace.com. MySpace used to be popular in the early 2005, 2006. Then Facebook came. Basically the same concept. Nobody hears of MySpace anymore. Facebook is now more popular. Is what everybody goes to. So that kind of thing, you have to be thinking. 10 years from now, will this product or service still be relevant? If you don't think that way, that means you're not a long-term thinker as a leader. You don't have a business, believe me. Now, when the newspaper companies, when the internet came out, I remember the time when you buy a Baltimore Sun, it is this thick. But now it's only one single, paper they give you, not very tiny. But that time it was thick because the internet as a source of information have not really taken root then. So if those magazines and newspapers that are planned ahead of time, be able to, survive. But not for some survive, but they are in some kind of life support. So many journalists were let go. Many of their some of their divisions were actually sold out, sold to somebody else, and so on and so forth. But you have to be long term. Had they been that they knew, they would have adapted. Of course, now there are many of they're now published online. They publish online, but had it been that they realized that they came to this point where a lot of people get news from their cell phone, from their computers, they would have done something more than what they are doing now to be able to become the leader in the industry. Okay. Another property quality is self-motivated. Leaders are self-motivated and are able to keep going and attain goals despite setbacks. Yes, that is true. In fact, that is one of the landmarks of good true leadership. Being able to continue going despite obstacles. So they try their best to succeed, not just meet expectation. Now, I give you an example with Amazon. When they started, that time there's nobody even imagine buying books online, but they see something on the internet. And despite the fact that the sales was very low at the beginning, they keep pushing, promoting, and so on and so forth. Eventually, now between me and you, we know that Amazon is the king when it comes to buying things, even groceries, in some cases, books, general merchandise. Then confident, good leaders must be confident. It's a very important leadership trait. So they can make decisions that are tough decisions and lead sometimes even with authority. So by being confident, they can reassure and inspire their workers to establish open communications and encourage teamwork. They are confident that this will work, and they do it. So when the leader is confident, employees will also become confident and in following the policies because they know that the leader got their back, and if anything happens, they have a good leader who can back them up. And confidence also means that you can make decisions that will favor the company. Sometimes they might not even know the outcome of the decision at the beginning. For example, a company like McDonald's might decide to open branches in, let's say, Ghana. Now, that it takes a lot of confidence to be able to make that kind of move. But I can tell you that many of these companies have done that. McDonald's opened branches in India, open branches. I think they have branches in China as well. You have to, considering the kind of government we have in those countries, and given the fact that these are different type of people, you have to figure out if the business can survive there, or let me put it another way. What can McDonald's provide to Indian customers and Chinese customers that will make them to survive in those countries? Let me use an Indian customer, for example. India has I think, I don't know how many of them, because a lot of them are Hindus. I think Hindu, right? I think it's Hindu. So which means that they don't eat meat the way we eat meat in America here. So what can we provide them instead in our menu that made them to patronize McDonald's? and so on and so on. So it requires a lot of confidence for a CEO to make that decision to have a branch in McDonald's CEO to have a branch in India. The same thing with China. When it comes to China, I have to go say this with respect to the type of government we have there. Sometimes China's government might want you, especially new foreign companies from advanced countries, before you can open a branch in China, they want you to go into some kind of partnership with a local, an indigenous company in that same line of business. So not every company wants to do that. So for McDonald's to open a branch in China, they have to consider all these things, know how to navigate. So it takes a lot of confidence and gumption to make that kind of decision. Another threat is people-oriented. Leaders are typically people-oriented and team players, good leaders. They are good at promoting team culture and involved in decision-making, and then show concern for each team member. So basically, you are going to be leading people, so you have to be people-oriented, know how to energize and motivate them, and also know what make each individual feel important and vital in the with respect to the success of your company. Then another one is emotional stability. Emotional stability. So it's not easy to lead people. Now, if a leader doesn't have that stability, emotional, doesn't know how to cope with changes, not only with the people you are leading, but also with the environment. When I say environment, I mean both the business environment, legal environment, and so on and so forth. For instance, sometimes government can make laws that are very frustrating to leaders, and then they have to figure out how to maintain control in the face of such regulation. For example, excuse me, the banking industry, for example, is one of the industry in the United States that faces intense regulation from the government. So those regulations can make them can affect the way they do things, which also affect their profits. So a good leader in a bank, you have to feel, if you don't have if you're not emotionally stable, it will be very difficult for you to be able to maintain control and regulate and even tolerate the frustration and the stress involved in running a bank in America. Now, so for the bad leader, of course, the threats are just the opposite of what you have for the good leader. Bad leaders are too bossy. Many employees doesn't like to be pushed around. I mean, not that there are some leaders who are too bossy, like Steve Jobs was very bossy, but he combined it with some kind of inspiration that makes people respect him. I don't know how he did that, but he did. Now, they are fearful for change. They don't want to change. They are scared about adopting new practices or new way of doing things, and so on and so forth. Now, they don't communicate effectively. Then, when it comes to bringing new ideas about new ideas that will affect the company in a positive way, most times they dismiss ideas from their subordinates. They lack empathy. They are not consistent. And of course, usually they blame something else or others instead of accepting responsibility. If something goes wrong, they blame something else or blame others. But unlike good leaders that normally takes responsibility, they want to shift the responsibility to somebody else and blame others. So that's one of the threats. Then they are also indecisive. They're indecisive. Any question before we continue?
Nope.
All right. So now how do we measure the threats? In some threat, there's some certain like leadership threats. Some people have it. We all have it in us. But like I said, you have to build it and develop it before it can manifest. Now, sometimes we can detect some threat of good leadership in some people using several methods. I mean, some people exhibiting those threats is a way of, is natural with them. Some don't have it unless they have to get trained for it. What are the ways or tests that can help us to determine somebody's personality, strength, and threats that can relate or that can help him or her if you want to be a leader? There are 4 ways. I would like you, when you get a chance, to read more about these 4 ways of detecting 4 things about determining the personality, strength, and threats of leaders to be. One is Myers-Briggs type indicator, and the other one is DISC profile, strength finder, word dynamics. So these things, please read more about them. See what you can. They are really interesting to read. But there are different methods. The one that is more popular is the Briggs type. Many companies use it. In fact, as over 80% of Fortune 100 companies rely on the tests such as this Myers-Briggs to help build an effective and healthy organization. Which brings us to motivation. I know I have mentioned it before, but there's no harm in trying looking at it again. Leaders that use motivation are usually charismatic leaders. You can call them charismatic leaders as well, because they have the ability to push or make an individual work hard at achieving their goals. So now look at key points here. A motivational leader inspires their team with enthusiasm and passion. So the way they through their leadership style, they make people feel valued because they invest their time and learning about their priorities and strength and needs. So they recognizes the value of hard work and encourages their employees to increase their employee potential through challenges and goals. Now, in fact, simply put, they know thoroughly the basic need of employees, their peers, and their superiors. So they know how to motivate them to achieve the goals from the company. Here is a few charismatic leaders. I think I have a list of them here. Okay, this is in the PowerPoint that I uploaded for you. When you have the chance, please watch them. I'm sure I can guarantee you're gonna enjoy it. Now, but I can name a few of them. I already mentioned Steve Jobs. We have Amazon. We have Oprah. These are motivational leaders. People that can motivate their employees to do their best. Henry Ford is also a motivational leader. Now, vision. A leader must have vision. Otherwise, without vision, the business might encounter problem in the future. So vision is the perception of the marketplace needs and the way a firm can satisfy them. So one good example is Mark Zuckerberg. So he saw the need for people to connect with friends in a simple and short-handed manner, where they can share their thoughts and photos and so many things. And he took advantage of that and developed Facebook. Now, when he has Facebook, he noticed that something like WhatsApp came out and Instagram, and he noticed that these two things can take market from there. What they do, They bought them. They bought WhatsApp and bought Instagram. It became part of Facebook. So see, well, that's what I'm talking about, vision. If you know how popular WhatsApp is today, you can see, you can begin to imagine the kind of effect they will have on Facebook if Facebook didn't buy WhatsApp. So you have to have vision. We have 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes left. Now, we can use that to summarize with leadership styles. There are 4 major leadership styles: autocratic leadership style, laissez-faire style, democratic style, and bureaucratic style. Now, as the name implies, the autocratic leaders, this kind of style, these are leaders that they are characterized by individual control over all decisions, and they accept little input from the group members. So they typically make choices based on their ideas, and they rarely accept advice from their subordinates. Now, this kind of leadership style, well, usually good because it's good, because not usually good. It's good because it helps in speedy decision making and greater productivity under the supervision of the leadership. For example, those in the military, this kind of leadership might work for those in the military. Now, but the drawback is that it leads to greater absenteeism and turnover. Well, I mean, turnover. People might want to leave the job because their leader is so much, I would say, micromanages everything and then want to be in control. Now, but for jobs that are monotonous or routine, this kind of leadership might work. I have already mentioned the military, where the chain of commands are very important, and we receive order, not direct. You just get order and you do what the order says. So you work for best in the performing, or when job is monotonous, unskilled, and routine in nature, or where project is a short-term and risky. Now, how about this laissez-faire? Laissez-faire is a hands-off approach to leadership. Those in the retail business use it a lot. So here the leader totally trusts the employees or the team to perform the job. So he or she concentrates more on the rational aspect of the work and does not focus on the management aspect of the work. So basically, the team of employees, they are welcome to share their views and provide suggestions which are best for the organization. So like I said, it is very popular among retail business. Those are in the retail, like grocery stores, department stores. This kind of leadership works. So it is works more when in situations where employees are skilled and are loyal and of course are intellectual. Then you have the democratic leadership, which is very similar to laissez-faire. Here, the members of the group take a more participatory role in decision making. So that means that the leaders invite them to, or encourage them, the team members, to play a role in the decision making process. So what the leaders does here is just to guide employees on what to perform and how to perform, while the employees communicate to the leader their experience and suggestion, if any. Now, employees working under this kind of leadership are usually satisfied, are motivated, and even are skilled. So it leads to what we call optimistic work environment, and it also encourages creativity. But the only disadvantage here is that it is too time consuming. To make a decision, have to, in democratic decision making, it takes more time to make a decision. Now, example of a company we are using this kind of leadership is Google, or what we call the alphabet. They use democratic style. I have a link here where you can read article about how the democratic style of leadership works in Congo. So last but not least is the bureaucratic leadership, which is similar to autocratic leadership, where we have strict chain of commands, regulations, and confirmation by the followers. So so now this is, we have only 2 slides left. I would say complete the remaining 2 slides, and they are really self-explanatory. So let me take your names, attendance, and then we can leave. While I'm doing that, is there any question for me?
No.
So don't go yet. Let me take your. Who is Sky? Whose name is Sky? There's a name that shows Sky.
Leah Pittman. It's supposed to say Leah Pittman.
Oh, Leah. Okay. Okay, Sky. Okay, you're here. So now I have Devon. I got Binta. Okay, I got Binta. I got Kenya. Kenya, this. Oh yeah, Kenya. Newbie. Shanae. Okay, who else have I called? Devon. I have Devon. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is there anybody I haven't called your name? Is there anybody I haven't called your name? All right. So I will please, like I said, we have only 2 slides, and you saw my announcement for what you need to do. I will have the test ready before Friday, so that you can do the test. I respond to the discussion question and read up this presentation. We have only 2 slides left. We are about to be timed out in less than 3 minutes. Any question for me before we leave?
Oh, no.
Everything due on Sunday?
Huh?
Are the assignment due on Sunday?
Yes. Okay, you didn't start at the beginning. See, at the beginning of each week, I make an announcement. In that announcement, I explain everything that will be due for that week. You can see my announcement here, and this is where you can access the test. And this is the discussion. So the test and discussion, and these are due this week. And this is the reading material. You can see the reading material, this one, and then the videos. And then you have your introduction. You have to send in your introduction, do your discussion, announcement, and also explain the thing that are due. See where you have week 1 activities and assignments. If you click on that, you'll see everything that is due for the week. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I see you guys next week.
See you next Wednesday.
Yeah, sure. What's your name, sir? Again.
My name is Devon Britton.
Okay, Devon. Okay, yeah, I checked it now. All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.